Okay, as promised, part 5 of the India's Soft Enemies series is here, and I'm going to do a very quick video explainer. Well, we already saw in part 4 about the people who were carrying out George Soros's mandate and the web and tangle of interconnected NGOs that were receiving money through various other NGOs from abroad, but all of which the fount was George Soros's Open Society Foundations. So once we look at that, this will put things in perspective. Now, we found when we were researching for part 4, we found a company and an NGO actually called the Hans Foundation, which had funded a bunch of Soros funded affiliated NGOs. For example, the NFI, the National Foundation for India, the Hans Foundation has provided about 9.4 crores to it over a 7-year period. And the Hans Foundation is basically, it's based in Gurugram and Dehradun. And so after we had published part 4, we decided to take a deeper look, a closer look at Hans Foundation. What we found was that, as I told you already, Hans Foundation is based in Dehradun as well as in Gurugram. And there is another foundation called RIST, which stands for Rural India Supporting Trust. Now, this is a US based charity, a trust, and the founders for both Hans Foundation as well as RIST are exactly the same, Shweta Rawat and one gentleman called Manoj Bhargava. So let's look at what these people have been up to. Well, we found that RIST, that is the US arm, had donated 188 crores to the Rajiv Gandhi Charitable Trust between 2011-12 and 2018 and 19. So 7-year period, 188 crores has been donated to the Rajiv Gandhi Charitable Trust. And it's mind blowing. Who are the trustees of the Rajiv Gandhi Charitable Trust? Well, it's former Congress President Sonia Gandhi and Wayanad MP Rahul Gandhi. So these are the two trustees, along with two others who are basically handling the Rajiv Gandhi Charitable Trust. This is not to be confused with the Rajiv Gandhi Foundation. That is another charity that has both Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi as the trustees. All right. So there are two trusts. One is the Rajiv Gandhi Charitable Trust and one is the Rajiv Gandhi Foundation. And RIST has funded 188 crores to the Rajiv Gandhi Charitable Trust. The donations stopped after 2018-19. All right. RIST has also donated to Hans Foundation. How much? Two transactions. One in 2014-15, the other in 2015-16. Together, these two total to around 262 crore rupees. So that's 120 crores in the first transaction and 142 crore in the second transaction. 262 crores to Hans Foundation donated by RIST. So we decided to take a closer look at the Hans Foundation, who formed it, what does it stand for, and who has formed RIST. So let's start with Hans Foundation. Now, the Hans Foundation was, actually it was formed only in around 2009. But before that, there was an ashram, and it was run by a spiritual guru called Hans Ji Maharaj. His actual name is Hans Ram Singh Rawat. All right, and he had 4 sons: Satpal Singh Rawat, Mahipal Singh Rawat, Dharampal Singh Rawat, and Prempal Singh Rawat. He also had a daughter from his first wife. So the second wife is called Rajeshwari Devi, and he passed away. Hans Ji Maharaj passed away. He was a very popular guru in Dehradun, and he passed away in 1966. Right, so the story begins there. So he passed away in 1966, and then there was a lot of discussion about who was going to succeed the Guruji. And his second wife, Rajeshwari Devi, wanted to be the next Guruji, but all the other sons or the saints who had surrounded Hans Ji Maharaj throughout his life, they said that a woman cannot be made a Guruji. So there was a lot of discussion as to who will be the next Guruji. While the discussion is going on, one of the sons, he takes the youngest son, Prempal Singh Rawat. He takes he's an 8-year-old kid, by the way. So he's 8 years old at that time. He takes that 8-year-old kid, takes him outside where the devotees are sitting in large crowds and mourning the passing of the Guruji. This is the 13th day. They are mourning and they are waiting for the announcement about the next Guruji. And they find, the Sant finds a crown that fits this little boy. They put it on his head, and he says that my father has come into me. And so he sits down and he starts speaking to the crowd when he's just 8 years old. So, hearing this commotion, everybody runs outside. Rajeshwari Devi, the other sons who are discussing about the succession, they come running outside and they find that this little kid is sitting there with a garland, and he's wearing a crown, and people are kissing his feet and touching his feet and holding his hands. And he says that he will show people that the people who do not believe him, he will show them that he is truly his father's successor. And he dances like Krishna, like his father used to. And people are mesmerized. Okay. So this little boy, 8-year-old boy, would sit and eat ice cream while all these devotees came and touched his feet reverentially. All sorts of stuff happened, and he would dress like Lord Krishna. He was basically accepted as the successor for his father Hansji Maharaj. Now, this continued till he was about 14 years of age. At 14 years of age, in 1971, in the month of June, Prempal Singh Rawat, he decided to make his first trip outside of India. Basically, they decided to take him to London, where he would address a gathering of followers. So off he went to London, and he spoke to a crowd. There was mixed reactions to the crowd apparently, And a month later, he had a bunch of sons and people around him, right? Like they were protecting him. So these people decided that they would go to the US. So he's how old? He's 14 years old. So 14 years old, he decided to take him to the US. His mother was against it. So Rajeshwari Devi said, no, you come back, you finish your schooling. He doesn't want to do that. So they take off to the US. Now, how a minor could be given entry into the US without his parents' consent is something that needs to be figured out. We have no idea what happened there. But these people went to the US and they set up what was called the Divine Light Mission. Right? So you have all of these, old generation hippies who were largely, the hippie culture was sort of dying out and they were left rather rudderless. They needed Indian gurus to follow. So Prempal Singh Rawat provided that opportunity for these, elderly hippies, if you want to call it that. And they started following him and listening to his speeches where he spoke about, the knowledge, how he's going to give them the knowledge, and how he's going to, bring about world peace. So this happens, and you have this 14-year-old kid dressing up like Krishna, dancing, doing all sorts of things.
And I think the magic of the whole thing is that I'm alive and they're alive. That we can learn from each other, we can grow, we can experience, and that when there is a teacher who can teach, who can show, this is an incredible interaction, the most human interaction there can be, and most precious interaction, because it is of love and it is of growth, and because we are alive and because we are human beings, this beautiful, magical thing has been made available to us, that somebody can come and somebody can teach and somebody can make us grow.
When he reached 16 years of age, he married his American secretary, a woman who was much older than him. And at the age of 17, Rajeshwari Devi, his mother, decided that she would disinherit him. So she disowned him, disinherited him, and she said, you're following a playboy lifestyle, you're into drugs, you're taking alcohol, you're eating meat. All of this is not part of our, of what Hansji Maharaj has taught us. So she disowns him. But nevertheless, Prempal Singh Rawat continues with his divine light.
It was quite challenging that this whole bust-up should happen, that the harmony that had existed within the family just broke up so easily, and it's as if his own family couldn't accept him. Now, we know now in retrospect that this had been simmering for a long time, that the family had always been a potential bomb, time bomb really, ticking away, ready to explode the family situation. Raji himself has talked about it, that he was never properly accepted as the master by his own family, and I knew the family, I could see what was happening, that they saw it as the family business.
Indian ashram was taken over by the elder brother, and another ashram was started by the second brother called Bholeji Maharaj, who subsequently became very, very popular. Now, of course, the eldest brother and the other brothers don't get along at all. They hate each other. So Bholeji Maharaj actually became the next big guru after Hansji Maharaj. He and his team started two corporations in the US. One is called the Seva Corporation. The other one is called Seva Corporation of America. It is in, they registered it in Delaware. And Delaware, as we know, has, little scrutiny compared to other states in the US. So through the funds that he got, he purchased vast number of properties, expensive jets, and one of the jets that he bought was a Gulfstream, which was earlier owned by the late Sheikh of Jordan. He bought it for $40 million US. So huge number of properties in Malibu, in California, in Los Angeles. And in 1973, he organized a mega event which is called the Millennium 73. This event almost bankrupted the organization. He said that this is the most holy and significant event in human history. 20,000 of his followers turned up to the Houston Aerodrome, and it was a massive event, right? And as the unfortunate part was that people came in expecting some kind of miracle or some kind of, enlightenment of some sort, but unfortunately they were disappointed. Slowly, as his lifestyle and his decadence began to take a toll, Prempal Singh Rawat decided, he started to interact with people less and lesser, and he instead started putting out DVDs of his talks. And this did not go down very well with his followers. They realized that Prempalji was not exactly the spiritual guru they had hoped for, and the followers started drying up. And by around 1985, at the age of 27, Prempal Singh Rawat was a retired guru. He still has a foundation. It's called the Prem Rawat Foundation, and there's about $4 million US in that. And he's doing pretty well for himself. He still lives in the US, and he's over 60 years of age now. There have been allegations of money laundering and drug trafficking against Prempal Singh Rawat, but it's not really gone anywhere as far as investigations go. Alright, so that's one part of the story about Hans Foundation. Now the other part is about the US Foundation as well as the Indian Foundation. And as I had mentioned before, Shweta Rawat, she is the daughter of Bholeji Maharaj, who is the second son of Hansji Maharaj. Now he, as I told you, had become a spiritual guru. He started the Hans Lok Ashram, and he also set up, his daughter in fact, is actually, something else happens around the time that Prempal Singh Rawat is in the US and he's making a lot of money. He's becoming popular. Around that time, there is another family in Lucknow, right? Lucknow, a family of three, mother, father, and son. And the father decides that he wants to pursue a PhD at Wharton. So he wants to relocate to the US. Now, it's a wealthy family. It's not a middle class or poor family. They're a wealthy family. They have a good amount of property. They pack up and they go to the US. And the son, his name is Manoj Bhargava. And Manoj Bhargav turns out to be a math genius. So he gets into hills by acing a math test, and after his, after he finishes his schooling, he gets into Princeton. But he does not what happens is that he does not complete his education at Princeton. All right, so he lives in the Hanslok ashram for 12 long years. He says that he gathered knowledge and he found a guru in Bholeji Maharaj, and he stays there for 12 years, finding his spiritual journey, etc. And after 12 years, he decides to move back to the US. All right. Now, this is around the time that Prempal Singh Rawat, the Guruji in the US, he was sort of retiring around this time, and Manoj Bhargav returned to the US permanently in 1986. He spent the next 10 years dabbling in various jobs. So he joined his father's plastics business. Then he found small organizations that were floundering and he would turn them around. And he then sold off his Indiana PVC unit for about $20 million, and he moved to Detroit for personal reasons, right? He tried to make an anti-hangover pill called the Chaser, but it did not really work out. And then in 2003, and this is according to Manoj Bhargav's own interviews to various publications, he struck gold and he found the formula for an energy drink at a natural products fair. And he created what is called the 5-hour energy drink, which became a hot seller. So he became a billionaire pretty much overnight, right? In a few years, he had become a billionaire. He signed up for the Giving Pledge, which was started by Bill and Melinda Gates as well as Warren Buffett. And in 2007, this is when he forms a trust. He forms a trust called the Rural India Supporting Trust, RIST. And he pledges 99.9% of his wealth for the upliftment of the poor across the world. Now, in 2009, because he's already very close to Bholeji Maharaj, so Bholeji Maharaj's daughter Shweta Rawat and he formed the Hans Foundation. Manoj Bhargav and Shweta Rawat formed the Hans Foundation. And as I told you before, between 2014 and 2016 alone, RIST donated 262 crores to the Hans Foundation. Alright, in 2011, Manoj Bhargav formed a startup called Stage 2 Innovations, which was dedicated to find innovative solutions for various issues in underdeveloped parts of the world. For example, in villages where there was no electricity. So he came up with this free electric. It's a bike called Free Electric. So basically, you pedal for an hour, it charges a battery, and you can use it all night long to give you light, so you can study and stuff like that. So he pitched the idea to the then Uttarakhand Chief Minister Harish Rawat, and Harish Rawat also peddled it. There was a photo op that happened, and RIST in that time was quietly funneling money to the Rajiv Gandhi Charitable Trust, as I told you, worth 188 crores between 2011-12 and 2018-19. Now, a very interesting thing happens around 2014. So in 2014 July, Manoj Bhargav gave an interview to Business Standard where he spoke about how he met Mr. Narendra Modi, who had just taken over as Prime Minister of India. And he said, and it's almost, you can almost visualize that meeting because he describes it so well. Manoj Bhargav describes it so well. He says, he didn't say a word. It was a 45-minute meeting. He didn't say a word. He just kept staring at me throughout. So he didn't think I was real, is what Manoj Bhargav is quoted as saying to the Business Standard reporter. So basically, it appears that the Prime Minister was not particularly impressed with either Mr. Bhargav or his innovation. But after that, Manoj Bhargav sort of disappears from the media space. There is no mention of him. Nobody really knows what he's doing at the time, since then. So that is something that we need to look at. All right, now let's come back to where it all began, Rajiv Gandhi Charitable Trust and the Rajiv Gandhi Foundation. All right, so I've told you about two pretty dubious kinds of sources of funding for the Rajiv Gandhi Charitable Trust. One is, of course, Hans Foundation. The other is RIST. Both are pretty much the same, but they have they've funneled in a lot of money into the Rajiv Gandhi Charitable Trust. Now, there have been other dubious funders. For example, in 2013-14, there was one Sridhar Potarazu. He was the CEO of Vital Spring in the US, and he donated around 11.7 lakh to the Rajiv Gandhi Charitable Trust. Now, when we Googled Potarazu, he seems to be a doctor of Indian origin living in America, and he in 2017 went to jail in the US for swindling 49 million US dollars from about 100 and almost 200 investors. So that gentleman has also donated to the Rajiv Gandhi Charitable Trust. As for the Rajiv Gandhi Foundation, beyond after 2014, no FCRA donation has come into the foundation. Okay, Rajiv Gandhi Foundation. But there are a couple of very interesting funders for the Rajiv Gandhi Foundation. One is the Embassy of the People's Republic of China in India, which donated 90 lakhs in 2005 and 6 to the Rajiv Gandhi Foundation. So this is the Chinese embassy in India, which has donated 90 lakhs to the Rajiv Gandhi Foundation. Another interesting organization is called it's called the Friedrich Naumann Stiftung, which is a foundation in Germany. This has donated 78.2 lakh to the Rajiv Gandhi Foundation over a 5-year period. This is between 2005-6 and 2010-11, right? So Friedrich Naumann Stiftung is basically, when you look at the history, it's a liberal think tank that is related to the German Free Democratic Party, and the Free Democratic, the Stiftung, the Friedrich Naumann's board has members from the German government, senior people in German civil society. And the best part about it is that the foundation is named after Friedrich Naumann. Now, who was Friedrich Naumann? He was a sort of turn of the 20th century German politician, and he was an advocate of Germany's imperial claim over Europe. He advocated social Darwinism, and he was also an anti-Semite in the early years of his political career. So he is also said to have been a founding member of the National Social Association, which is not directly related to the Nationalist Social German Workers' Party, that is the Nazi party, but it's an association that has very close links with that. So, some kind of Nazi leanings there. So this is yet another foundation that has pumped in 78 lakh to the Rajiv Gandhi Foundation. So, the point here that we are all trying to make is that there has been money that smells of, money laundering. It smells of all kinds of other things, illegal things that have been carried out by other parties, which has come into the Rajiv Gandhi Charitable Trust and the Rajiv Gandhi Foundation. And very, these are donors who are going to be questioned, like the Congress party is going to be questioned about why they have taken money from such donors with such strange ideologies. Like, why would you do that, right? So this is something that the Gandhis are going to have to answer for. What happened? Why? What was all that about? Did they know what they were doing? Did they know where the funds were coming from? These are questions that really need to be answered by both Sonia Gandhi as well as Rahul Gandhi. Thank you very much for watching.